Welcome to the show, everyone, and happy Friday. I cannot believe I'm saying that again. I feel like I just said it yesterday. I cannot believe it's already Friday. I'm going to go in with networking right away with my first guest. He's been on with me now several times. I have with me Scott Fischer. He's the owner of Options for Senior Living. Welcome back to the show. We're live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. We're going to share the show later on. I'm going to say something today before we're going to start. Number one, we're going to be talking a little bit about about fuzz. We're going to talk about impairment versus incapacitated, and we're also going to talk about wonky decisions.
Oh my.
First off, I want to talk a little bit about you and say something, number one, about you, which is that Scott is your seniors advocate. You are out there. You have done so much for the senior population here in Arizona. I want to thank you for doing what you do. I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you've done as well. Not just what you do, but also what you've done.
Well, thank you, Carol. I got out of Arizona State University in 1986. We were back-to-back national champions at ASU in the day. They were not necessarily winning championships on the field, but Party School of the United States. We were back-to-back.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought my career would take me into the journey, and it has. And I spent years working inside mental health and psychiatric hospitals and facilities. Led me to working with people in early 2000s, specifically with people who were suffering from the impact of dementia. There was various symptoms that come with it that are often psychiatric: paranoia, agitation, depression, anxiety. And my clinical practice took me directly into the headwaters of the dementia kind of, what do you want to say, it's really, I want to say exploded, but it's really become one of the top health issues affecting all of Arizonans today. So 25 years ago, I started doing that. 23 years ago now, or in our 23rd year, I opened this business, Options for Senior Living, to be a resource for families as they were starting to search for long-term care solutions for mom and dad, grandma and grandpa. We set the business up as a free guidance service to families. We get paid. We work with hundreds of senior living providers. This is a space that the state does not regulate. There's no license to do this. So that's great for a lot of new business owners. We all jumped in. It's not great because there's no oversight. There's no government oversight. There's no state oversight for what we do. And so I was part of a movement a number of years back to create the first best practice organization in the state of Arizona that went national in 2017. We've set up national certification programs for our industry. I've been just up to my eyeballs in helping an industry lift itself to become a trusted partner industry to senior living, elder law, financial advisors, real estate professionals, people who touch this population all the time.
If you're looking for resources, he's the person to call. Not only for resources of questions that you might have on many things, but what's the right home for my loved one? Because there's so many. You must know there's got to be a million of them out here.
In Arizona, or actually in Maricopa County, there's over 2,000 licensed homes in facilities, and so all of our neighborhoods, all of our zip codes have small assisted living homes, the 5 and 10 bed mom and pop run operations, up to the big corporate operators that are on the corner. We answer people's questions constantly. I think we've just surpassed 4,500 families now have found their long-term solution with myself and our team. Thousands of other families have just gotten their questions answered, just gotten another referral for something else about their journey. So while we get compensated for helping people find the right solution, we help people all the way along the line.
Right.
And it can be for months.
Well, it starts with the first thing I said. When? You know, and when? It's a very tough question as to when. When is it right for, let's say, okay, so first of all, when do you know it's time?
Families ask me that all the time. And I'll be sitting at a kitchen table with a mom and maybe her daughter, and the daughter's there looking for help, and both are very invested in keeping mom at home independently. And then I'll ask the question, tell me a little bit about your week. How much support or effort are you putting into mom's staying independent? And here comes the story. Well, we have a yard crew coming over and doing the yard. I have a housekeeper coming over once a week. I do come over on Saturdays and do all of mom's laundry. When I'm doing the laundry, I run to the grocery store and get her all filled out. I cook her meals, prep them, like sub them out, prep them, have it all ready, and I fill her medicines for the week. Well, how do you do her appointments? Well, I take her to her doctor. I said, can I just tell you that mom's already in assisted living now?
Exactly.
It's just, you're doing it. And that's great, as long as you can, as long as your heart's good about it, your family's good with it, that's fine. The reality of it is, she's already there. And when you say it's time, Mom, then it's time, because you're getting an incredible gift of love from your daughter and her family, helping you stay independent. But let's start understanding that you're
really
there.
not. Now, and then there's a part where that they start falling. I've told you the story of my ex-mother-in-law, who I saw really in such terrible situation because they didn't want to say anything, right? And so they covered it up. It was everything to the T of what you have said in the past.
Yeah.
And you know, the next thing you knew is that she wasn't able to live in her home anymore because she did what she did, ended up in the hospital, ended up having to sell the home and be into an assisted living, and then and do you get that call all the time at the panic time?
And our message is, hey, we're here for you in the crisis. We would much rather talk to you months before the crisis to avert the crisis, to have a game plan that you have control over as you navigate these things, or more control over that. We're never in total control, but obviously the more things you can put in place for safety purposes, for when you hit those crossroads, that's way better than waiting, because people just put their head in the sand and they go, it's not gonna happen, and it happens.
Oh yeah, and when it does,
way.
it happens fast,
Yep.
right? Now, what I wanna just say, yes, if they can stay at the home as long as possible, great. But get on board now and talk to Scott now and have yourself in place already. It's fun, you get to go on all sorts of tours.
Well, that's how I present it, is that we're gonna go do a little scouting. There's a handful of things that are fairly common. When people start talking about, I've done a presentation for years I call Storm Clouds on the Horizon. I mentioned it in one of our previous conversations, and it really is a metaphor for the things that are starting to accumulate in people's lives, those individual, items, missing medications, missing appointments, utilizing the emergency department more regularly, or calling 911 to have you get your medical care needs met rather than doing your regularly scheduled appointments. Getting lost while you're driving, spending money on things that you wouldn't have ordinarily spent your money on. Those are all starting to accumulate in people's lives. The issue is, how many of them are coming together, and when does a kid see that it's apparent these things are starting to happen? And how do you read that? If you just ignore all those things and all that stuff starting to converge, well, you're asking for a larger thunderstorm to come in your life, I'm sure.
I'm telling you, when? It's now.
Yeah.
It's now. And so this is a free service to you. It makes sense. Have that conversation. Anybody if you've got a parent that's living at home alone, or you're taking care of them in any way, please, even if they're with somebody else, they need to find at some point, it's that time to, let's see where they need to go for the rest of the journey.
Yep.
That number to call them is 602-845-1320, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. It's a free service to you. Call them and check them out. It is optionsforseniorliving.com. Did you like it?
Oh, it's just cracks, because I think of specific people when we're talking about this stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
So I go see a husband and wife 3 weeks ago for the first time, and she answers the door. I talked to him, he set the appointment, I go answer the door, she comes to the door, she goes, you aren't talking me into going to one of them places. That's how she answered the door.
That's funny.
And I was like,
Okay.
are you kidding me? I came all the way out here to take you with me today. And I just teased with her, because I knew right away when
You've
she
got
said
such
it,
a great personality.
I could tell the second she said it, that was out of fear. There was probably some fuzz in her, you know. She's functional. She still does a lot of her things. She plays in a band. I mean, she's still doing a lot of her everyday functional things. But the average Joe doesn't say that, right?
No, well, I don't know.
You're not taking me one of the places. And I was like, oh my gosh, I came all the way out here to take you today. I said, we're just going to talk. I just want to understand what's going on with you and your husband, and we'll take it from there.
Was she better off than the husband? Was she in a better situation?
He has got more physically going on with him. This is often the case too with couples. They have different set of issues. Her issues are primarily cognitive. His issues are more physical. So big arthritis. He just got a Parkinson's diagnosis. He knows they need stuff. Things are coming, and she's not going to be able to help him. He knows that, and so while we've just been scouting and we're just looking for down the road, we've now seen 4 facilities, and he's making some decisions.
I have a question. When somebody is in that situation, and let's say the husband goes into a facility and the wife doesn't, they're not ready. Does that ever happen? And then let's say she's ready, he's still in the same home. Can you get her into
Often,
that?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, often. Depends on where they pick. Family I saw yesterday, she's going to place him. He's aware of it, and he's cool. But he's going to go to a small private residential home. She probably wouldn't join him there. She would be more interested in a larger apartment style, corporate kind of a thing.
Yeah.
If she chooses to live in care, she doesn't need it. She's totally independent. She's driving and taking care of herself still.
Mm-hmm.
She's in her 70s. She's not.
Yeah,
but he's got Parkinson's that's advanced.
That's sad.
Yeah. Served in the military, so who knows?
What's that?
He served in Vietnam, so no telling what he was exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that hurt his neurology.
Oh God, yeah. Those are all the guys that were there that are now turning, they're the ones that are 90 and 89 and whatever. That's what they are. Wow.
I'm sure he
I
has some
never even
exposure.
thought about that until. So welcome back, everyone. We talk here during the break on the Facebook land. I love it. I love getting to know all the guests even more so. And if you want to, you can check us out. Just go to Networking Arizona and you can watch us in here doing the show live. It's really funny. And fun. I meant fun, not funny. But it's funny too.
Well, people don't love talking about what I've got to talk about.
No,
but
you know
so
what?
necessary.
You have such a great personality, and that's something that's very important too, because you know how to talk. Now, let me just say something. If you're a child out there of a parent that is in a situation and you know what it's like, you go over there and mom's telling you what to do and she's yelling at you, because you didn't do it her way or whatever. Then when you start talking about this, and I'm going to say probably there's going to have the mother say something or the father say, you don't tell me what to do, you're not going to tell me I'm going to do that. That's a hard conversation to have. And that's where you step in.
We do all the time. I can't tell you how hard it is when the roles start to reverse, and as adult kids we have to make decisions. And I've told them, and I've told my own mother, look, you said stuff to us when we were in high school that I didn't want to hear. It was for my best interest, it was for my good. You didn't say yes to everything I wanted to do at that point. I can't say yes to everything now that you want to do. It brings up the issue of impairment and incapacity, and it's no secret, as we age, our memories fade. It doesn't mean there's brain disease, but our memories, we do fade. We aren't as sharp as we were at one time. I'm looking for words in sentences now, and I'm just 62. So I don't want to pretend that none of this is or that it's just some sort of made up story. We start to fade, and if we can make that a normal part of our relationship between adult kids and parents, and we can laugh about it, and we can understand that I am all for you, Mom. That's an important concept. I am for you. I am all in for you. I would never do anything to you, always with and for you. Mm-hmm. That's the message that I have for our adult kids. And I also say to them, it's our turn now. It's our turn now to learn how, we learn how to parent Well, now we need to learn how to be adult kids in a really hard season. And so a lot of our messaging is our turn now to love and care for those who love and cared for us. You know, they did the hard stuff for us, we have to do hard stuff for them.
Right, but as hard as you're hearing that it is, what's wonderful is that Scott, he's here. He's someone that you can trust, someone that you can talk to and find out. He has A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, nominated for the Ethics Award in 2022, okay? NPRA, tell them what that is.
The National Placement Referral Alliance, that's a national association we helped start.
Yeah, that they started. And so when you hear this, you write this number down and put it into your phones, because you never know when you're gonna need it. And really, honestly, I've seen it. Don't wait till it just happens. You
Yeah.
gotta make sure that you're on top of this, and you're gonna be so happy that you did.
Yep.
He works valley-wide. His phone number is 602-845-1320. It's a free service to you. Check him out. It's optionsforseniorliving.com. Well, we've been talking a little bit about fuzz and when kind of at the same time, but I do want to talk about what the difference between impaired and incapacitated, because I've said the word incapacitated many times, and then when you said, well, there's something else that happens too, it's impairment,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my God, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I got a nice education from one of my good friends who's an elder law attorney on this issue years ago, and I'm not an attorney, right? I was a nurse and a clinician, and so I don't draw the line of incapacity, but incapacity is the legal determination that someone has lost the ability to make decisions in their own behalf any longer. And so we've heard of people going under guardianship or conservatorship. Guardianship is when someone has lost the right to make their own healthcare decisions or life decisions. Under a conservatorship, someone has had the right taken away from them to manage their own finances and financial well-being. That being said, that only comes when someone's incapacitated. There's a lot of fear in our parents these days that even though they maybe have given power of attorney, right, to their kids, they're afraid that their kids are gonna move in and start making decisions against their will. That can't happen. Those powers of attorney are not in effect or not enforced until there's been a determination of incapacity. So someone could have impairment, they could make kind of wonky decisions, they could do some things that maybe the kids would disagree with, but as long as they still have capacity, they retain the right to make their own healthcare decisions and spend the money they want. So if they want that new $80,000 Escalade, I think it's a terrible idea.
Pay cash for it.
But if they want to pay cash for it, they can. I think there's a lot of people in the world that prey upon people who are impaired. There are, you'll hear terrible stories of air conditioning units being sold to homes in Sun City after the monsoon season. You hear about new roofs going into places. You hear about people buying the $80,000 Escalade.
You know, it's so weird.
Right.
My mind never goes that way
Well,
until when you start
course.
telling me, I'm like, oh my God.
But it happens, and
I'm
you hear
sure
all these
it
stories
does.
where big chunks of money are being spent by people who are impaired because there's nobody advocating for them. Their kids are out of state. Often that's the case in our situation. We have a lot of families that were snowbird families. They landed and stayed here, and they quit going back to Chicago. They stopped going back east. And so this issue of impairment and incapacity, super important. Understand that impairment means that people are more vulnerable than ever. And
Makes
in the
sense.
industries that I work in, where lots of us are unlicensed and we're unregulated, I just implore people, do your homework. When you find people to help you, or you invite them into your house, or you get help with the kinds of work we do, find somebody that's NPRA aligned. Find somebody who's from the home care industry that's with OSNAHA, the Arizona In-Home Care Association. Find an attorney who's a NALA, National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. Those designations and certifications mean a lot because it tells the consumer this person has some level of expertise and experience in this realm. And because there's no requirement of it, there's no license.
So you're listening to this show, and maybe it's you or someone that you know, and that's what networking is all about. You know, tell them about it, because it's a free service. It just makes sense. I don't know why people don't just do it, but some people think that they can find the information on their own. It's too good to be true.
Please don't Google stuff without
Yeah,
calling
don't.
me. Please don't. You will get tangled up. There's some online entanglements people find themselves into, online operators that really prey upon people, using the internet to be their number one place for information.
Oh, I'm sure.
And, you know, we're on the ground 2 decades.
And
We
then
know
you're
our
just
way around
putting out
Phoenix.
fires.
We're putting out fires.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know what, this it shouldn't have to be like this. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it does,
Right, does.
right?
Yep,
And
absolutely.
but the one thing that never changes is the hardness of this. I think it just gets worse instead of any easier. You would think that it would be, but it's gonna be worse, and if you try and do it on your own, you're gonna get too much information, could be bad information.
The reality of it is, in Maricopa County today, there's over 160,000 80-year-olds in Maricopa County. There's 1 million that are over 65. So between 65 and 80, there's 15 years. There's 800,000 people pushing.
Oh my
They're-
God.
Right. And so we have got to figure some things out. We have got to normalize the conversation amongst our families. In a couple of years, Mom and I will both be on Social Security incomes together, right? The government wasn't set up for it. So these are real things that are happening, not just in my family, but in all families. And so, again, our message is reach out before the crisis.
Well,
It's our turn now.
I was looking at the word wonky decisions, and I know that a lot of, we were talking about
Mhm.
the seniors making those wonky decisions. But you know, when you're in a situation where now you're scrambling, you're making wonky decisions yourself, and you don't need to, because you have someone here who is your seniors advocate. He is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. You have done everything to make this industry a better industry, and I appreciate you for that. I think it's wonderful. What are your
Thank
final
you.
words?
Well, can I just say again, it's our turn now. It's like the mantra and the mission of the week. It's our turn now. And in order to be a good parent, I needed to read books. I went to parenting classes at church. In order to be a good adult son in this journey with my mom, I've needed to learn some things. I've gotten help from other professionals. So do not try to handle this. Alzheimer's is 100% undefeated. Death is undefeated. There's always going to be an end to life. And so get help with your loved ones. We're here to help you.
So the number to call is 602-845-1320. He works valley-wide, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. This is a free service to you. Please get the information from him. This is the right person to call at 602-845-1320. It's options4seniorliving.com.